All right, here we go. So for starters, we had some comments on last week's video, right? And so I want to take some time to get some live responses. So I know you responded on the thread, but I want to get some of the live responses where
Okay.
where homeboy started with this is who's this at Alabama dash Wildman. So I don't know who this person is, but it says Kurt Powers is an unintelligent person and has no idea what he is talking about. So, like, when you first saw that, what was your initial thoughts?
My initial thought is Alabama is exactly the person I was talking about, and he knows it. That was my. It's like I told you. There's a certain group of people who listen to that song, and they take it the way those group of people are going to take it.
Mm,
You know, you ain't coming in my town. You know that sort of thing. And that
mm,
Alabama, I guarantee you, is one of those people without a doubt. And to again, as we've talked about many times, when all you can do is attack someone personally and name call or make some accusation about them when you don't even know the person, and
mm-hmm.
that's your first line of defense. It's your only line of defense because you don't have anything to follow it up with. We talked about. I was very fair in saying this is my opinion. I didn't
Mm,
state because I have no idea what Aldean was thinking when he wrote the song. And so I don't want to pretend that I do. I you know I I did want to make a comment though. Is that I'll save that. I'll save it for later. But yeah, so that was my first opinion.
yeah, so I actually just messaged, which I don't know if we'll get an answer while we're doing this, but I should have asked this last week because I said, what part of the discussion are you referring to? Because we did talk for almost an hour, so it's like
Right.
what part of the discussion like really stood out that would make him make a comment like that? Because someone else came to your defense and said, you have a problem with someone speaking on people who are looting, robbing, burning down their own homes, and then the second the story you are talking about has nothing to do with the song, like you're making something out of nothing. So it's like in any type of these discussions, you're always gonna get both sides of the spectrum in the comment section. So like I always say, when people try to hate on me, that just means I struck a nerve. So,
Right.
because like it's like you don't hate on someone unless they struck a nerve. And you know what they always say, um what's the saying, like the devil doesn't come when you're doing all the wrong things. The devil only comes when you're doing the right things. Sorry, so if
Hmm.
you're saying something that may be against the mainstream narrative, and then people are gonna come out and attack, like we were saying last week about Anna Kaspari and talking about the "don't call me a chess beater," and you know the
Right.
the lefties came at her hardcore because she went against what you're supposed to say. So when we start talking about things that were against things that we're supposed to say, then we get comments like that.
I did want to say this. I think that the people who are upset that they're and again, you and I have both discussed this as well. I don't believe in limiting speech regardless. I don't
Mm-hmm.
even believe in hate speech.
Yep.
I can tell you many times in my life, I have said things to people that you can consider hateful because I do. At that very moment, I hate that person. That is why I'm having words with them. That is why I want to beat their ass. Not because
Yep.
I love them or like them, it's because they've done something to upset me in my day, and it's my turn to upset them in their day. Now,
Mm-hmm.
fortunately, I like to think I've risen above that over the years, and for the most part, I think I have. But back in the day, it's like you can't consider it hate speech because as though I'm doing it because it's a particular group. But I am the person that if you come at me, I'm coming at you for the throat. And I am
Mm-hmm.
going to use everything in my advantage to do so. It doesn't matter if you're black or white, straight or gay, male or female, whatever weakness I can find or think that I can use to upset you, I'm going to use it because
Mm-hmm.
you've gotten me to that point and you deserve, and back in the day, I felt like you deserved whatever was going to get thrown at you.
Mm-hmm.
But these people, so with that being said, I don't believe in limiting speech at all. I believe you have a great point. You make that point, and it's easy to shut down positions where, it's sort of like this. I know I'm getting all over the place, so let me try
Yeah,
to
you
reel
are.
it in real quick. Okay, let me try to reel it in. When we were kids, or at least when I was a kid, we were shown Animal Farm. Now, there was a movie, and of course, it was a
Mm-hmm.
book, and there was an animated movie that was shown to kids. And what it basically showed was the evils of communism and the greatness of capitalism. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
part of the problem that people have today, these kids have today, is capitalism isn't working for them. Why shouldn't they be upset with it? Because see, when you get only one side of the story, yes, you showed us the evils of communism, but Animal Farm didn't show us the evils of capitalism. And there are evils out there, and it's greedy capitalism. And we see it on a daily basis. We see how it's affecting the people of this country. Okay. Now wait, because I know what you're gonna,
I
I know
didn't
what
say
you're
that. I
gonna
didn't
do.
say anything. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go
I know.
ahead.
So of course these kids are going to grow up thinking that capitalism isn't as great as the other generations, kept telling them it was, because it's not working for them. And so they have a point. Now you have these you know professors who lean to socialism, or communism, or whatever, teaching these kids, and they're only teaching these kids about the great things about communism and socialism, and not the bad things, and just pointing out the evils of capitalism.
You're
And
gonna
so
make me
whenever you're
slam dunk you 2 weeks in a row.
you didn't slam dunk me last week.
Oh, I
Please.
sure did.
Listen, no, you did. Yeah. What was it? What was the poll? Did you take the poll?
Hey, I didn't have people dogging me in the comments. That's all I'm saying.
Oh no, I knew they were going to dog me, because I told you those good old boys don't like being pointed out. That kind of stuff happens, but yet it does. And here's the other thing: do you not think that those people who are crying about them trying to shut this song down, which again I don't believe they should try to shut this song down, but the people who are trying to shut this song down and the people who are standing up for this song, I guarantee you, the same people who are standing up for this song were the same people who were trying to get rid of the Dixie Chicks when they spoke about George Bush, or George W. Bush. So hypocrisy is thy name. That's what I'm saying. It's like, they want to shut down what they don't like. It's like, we believe in free speech until it goes against what we believe. Then we don't. Then it's got to go. Just like banning books. These are book banners. That's what they are.
See, the thing is, and again, this is the beauty of being an independent, is that you can see the BS on both sides. Both sides are shutting down books. Both sides are. This isn't just a one-sided thing. It depends where you're getting your new. Yeah, the left is shutting down books that are pro-religion. It's happening. It's a thing. they're doing it, right? And
Where?
so just all over. It's just it's just as widespread as the right's trying to shut down CRT and the LGBTQ with K through 3. It's
Are
the
you
same.
mixing it though?
Absolutely not, because I told you, I get all of my information. I don't get it from the mainstream media, because you only get one side. So if you watch just CNN, MSNBC, you're gonna get all of the anti-Republican stuff, and vice versa with Fox News and Newsmax. Well, Fox News is moving more towards the left lately, but with those are the two big players in getting the right-leaning news. But yeah, are you kidding me? The left has been shitting on Christianity for the last 8 to 10 years. So anything that talks positively about it, they are shutting it down. I told you, I live in a blue state. It's like it's happening right here where I live, and there's countless examples. And there's a woman down in South Kingstown, not too far from here. Like she's been making like the national news because she's speaking out against it. And you can just go to her YouTube channel, her Twitter, like she's blasting all of these books, like with the links. You can look at the books themselves. You can look at what they're talking about, and like it's happening. It's happening on both sides. But any which way, hold on before you jump in. Like going back to what you were saying about like when we first started. How the hell did you word it? I didn't write it down because I didn't think we were going to go this far before I got back to it. Oh, when you said capitalism isn't working for them, it's not that capitalism doesn't work. Capitalism is being phased out, right? If you look at what's happening in the colleges, the kids aren't being taught how to take advantage of capitalism. They're being groomed to go work in the workforce to keep the billionaires rich. We've had this conversation on numerous occasions, so I don't know why you're making that face. Like I've had this stance the entire time. I said, remember, I believe my exact words were slavery never ended. Like the slaves are just paid now. That's the difference. So the kids are going through school. They're being taught the bare minimum so they can enter the workforce. And then you get under the guise of you can get credit, you can get a house, you can get a car, you can raise a family, and you're living the American dream. We're just going to leave out the fact that you're going to be in debt your entire life. You're going to pay 4 times the amount for your house, and you're going to get an insurmountable credit card debt that you won't be able to get out of. It's like that's what we're setting these kids up for. But if we actually taught financial literacy, if we taught balancing a household budget, if we taught how to invest in the stock market instead of just letting the politicians and the bankers dominate the stock market, if we taught the young kids how to take advantage of capitalism, what would happen to the workforce? The workforce is going to diminish. And who does that hurt? The billionaires. That's the problem with capitalism. Got you speechless. Look at you.
No, I just was going to say, did you ever see Point Counterpoint with Jane Curtin and
No.
what's his name? With Saturday Night Live on Point Counterpoint.
No. And that's SNL.
It was with Jane yeah, SNL. It was Jane Curtin and Dan I forget his name. Anyway, he would go, Jane, you ignorant slut. And not only are you wrong.
You're trying to say with what I just said I was wrong?
Partially, yes. Because you contradicted yourself.
How?
You say they weren't taught how to use capitalism. And then you went on to say all these things that are going on in capitalism that keep them from being able to use capitalism. Because capitalism has been taken over by the greedy corporations to the point where it isn't working any longer for these people because they can't get a foot up, because they do start. And this has been going on since the Reagan years. Ever since Reagan took over with that bullshit trickle-down economics that never worked, and they're still, to this day, trying to push that bullshit story, thinking that there's still dumbasses out there buying it. And they're not, because they realize it doesn't work. These corporations who continue to get bailed out time and time and time again in the billions and billions of dollars, and yet they want to, and yet because our Congress allows it, because that's who has their hand in their pockets.
Bingo.
Because right. So here's the point.
That's not a capitalist problem. That's a politics problem.
No, that's a capitalist problem, because it's the capitalist corporations who are buying off our politicians. So you're going to say it's either it's not a capitalist problem, or it's a democracy problem. One of the two.
It's a politics problem. You don't think corporations are lining in Putin's pockets? Or Kim Jong-un, whatever his name is? You don't think the corporations are lining their pockets? And they're communists, right? That's not a capitalist problem. It's a politics problem.
No, that's again, communists don't have. See, here's the thing: when Kim Jong-un or Putin or what's his name from China? Anyway,
I don't remember his name.
These guys, they don't have to cow down to anybody. They just go, this is what's going to happen. Starting tomorrow, we're going to make 70% of our energy by 2025 is going to be solar. There's no voting on it. There's no, oh, let's see if the corporations want that to happen or not. They
You're
just say it
proving my
and it gets done.
point.
No, I'm not. I'm proving
Yes,
my
you
point.
are. You're
Is
so
that
proving
is that
mine.
no, I'm saying this is that when corporations have the power that they do, that they can influence our politics and our Congress, that's capital greed. And they're the ones causing it. If we didn't have their hands in the pockets of the politicians, our democracy would run fine. And the proof of that is that if we ever are smart enough to vote for a Bernie Sanders or Marianne Williamson or somebody who wants to get money out of politics, we will discover that the people like Pelosi's, the McConnells, the Marco Rubio's of the world, they'll get out of politics because they're only in there for their own benefits. So if you take the money out, those low lives will leave and go find someone else's
Who's
to
going to take the
scavenge.
money out? Who?
The people should have a vote and say money is no longer allowed in politics because and take a vote on it.
Yeah, who's
We
going to
should be able
vote
to
for
have a
that?
say so.
Tell me in Congress who's going to vote for that?
No, not Congress. The people take a vote. Do you
Yeah,
want money in politics or do you out?
Yeah, and you think the politicians are ever going to let that fly? It's never going to fly because that's going
It's
to
not going to
affect
be left up to them.
that's gonna affect their pockets. Going back to what I was saying. Hold on, going back to what I was saying about the communist countries, right? And I'm no political scholar. I'm just somebody that pays attention. Like all of these dictators, they're all filthy rich, right? And they're not capitalists over there. But Putin is one of the richest men in the world. The Saudi prince is probably the richest person in the world because they control all the oil. But like all of these big corporations control the wealth of these politicians, these rulers, these princes, all of the big corporations. So here in America, the left can talk all they want to about taxing the rich and taxing the corporations and they need to pay. That shit's never going to happen because those people fund the politicians. They think we're all stupid and they're going to put out their campaign ads saying we're going to do this and the corporation is going to pay their fair share and we're dumb enough to fall for it. We're going to vote for them. And guess what? Nothing's going to happen. You said it yourself. This has been going on since the Reagan era. How long ago was that? 40 years ago, right? I was a kid when Ronald Reagan was president. I was a freaking kid. You were a teenager, right? That's how long this has been going on. And that's just, and I said you approve of my point because it's not about what's right. It's not about what's morally right. It's not about what's responsible or what's morally responsible. It's what's going to keep the party in power. That's why when Barack Obama when he got elected president, and all the people of color were like, oh, shit's about to change. Systemic racism is going to end, and we're going to have this, and we're going to have that. And what did he do? He kowtowed to the party because the Democrat engine is stronger than anything else. The Republican engine is stronger than anything else. And as long as we have those two in power, nothing is ever going to be the way the people want it to be. It's always going to be what's in the best interest of the party.
It's never going to be what the people want when the people are acting like scared little goats or sheep who sit there and do the bidding of the rich. When they fall for the same bullshit and want to continue voting for people like Hillary Clinton or Mitch McConnell or any of these other corporate Democrats or corporate Republicans who are in the pockets of these companies, until you're smart enough and stop being told, oh, don't waste your vote. You waste your vote when you're voting for somebody you know damn well you don't want in office. That's when you waste your vote. When you vote for Bernie Sanders or Marianne Williamson, who want to go in there and do the will of the people and make sure that it benefits the people, those are the people you should be voting for. Fuck what CNN says, fuck what Fox says, fuck what all those mainstream media bullshit sites who make money off of our democratic system, by
Mm-hmm.
being able to shovel all that money down their throats for advertising. That's why they don't want Marianne Williamson in there. That's why they won't give her the time of day. That's the same reason they wouldn't give Sanders the time of day, because they don't want that money taken out. And
Yeah,
so
because they
we've
go
talked
against the
about this.
grain. Yeah, because they go
Right.
against the grain. And I've said 100 times, Trump didn't do himself any favors, but like that's why they're going at Trump so hard, because he went against the grain. See, I gotta be careful now, because remember I told you my brother blocked me over politics, and now my sister is on, and I know she leans to the Democrat side. So like I might lose another family member over here. So
Yeah, well, we don't want that.
but anyways, go ahead.
But yeah, and so you have this problem, but the thing is like, but this is greedy capitalism. So and what it is we have the greedy capitalists who paid off our politicians to allow money so that they can be funded, so that they can put their hands in their pockets and fund their campaigns and stuff. And the Supreme Court didn't do us any favors by saying, "Oh, corporations are people," which is a crock of bullshit, and we all
I
know
agree
that's
with
a
that.
crock of
I
bullshit.
agree with that.
But that's what happens when you have a conservative, judgeship. That's the problem with conservatives, is that the left, as you point out, hide it, but the right, they're blatant about it. Yes, we're all about greedy capitalism. They are. They don't even try to hide it. They know they're for the corporations. And Trump came in and gave the biggest tax breaks to the wealthiest people in this country. The majority of those tax breaks that he made were for the wealthiest people of this country. So
And it benefited all those Democrats in that tax bracket too. So don't act like it just benefited the right.
Wait a minute. That's not the point. The point is it didn't benefit us.
That's not the point, because it hurts your argument.
No, it doesn't hurt my argument, because my argument is wait, Robert, how many times I told you the left is as corrupt as the right?
Yes.
How many times have I said that? The left ain't my friend. I'm not their buddy. They don't like me because I call out Hillary Clinton. I call out Pelosi. I call out Obama. I call them all out. When, in fact, I saw a thing on Facebook yesterday. It said it had Barack Obama, it had Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and it had Jimmy Carter on there. And it said, with all these presidents, not one of them have ever been indicted or
prosecuted, jailed.
No, what Nixon was.
Oh, impeached.
Impeached, yeah. So none of these have been indicted or impeached. And I said, no, but there's three of them that should have been.
Yeah, exactly.
Just because they weren't don't mean they shouldn't have been. And out of those, and the three I was speaking of, two of them were Democrats and one was a Republican. So the only one who shouldn't have been impeached was Jimmy Carter, because he's a good person, which made him a lousy president because he wouldn't play the game the way they wanted played. The thing is like, look, we can't ignore the fact that these greedy corporations have gotten away with murder, and literally murder. They are responsible for so much calamity in this country and catastrophes in this country, and have gotten away with it. And like with the banking industry, as we talked about before, in 2008, 2009, when the housing market plummeted, where did these CEOs go? Did they go to prison? No, they got rewarded. They got bonuses. That's what they got, bonuses.
See, but that's not capitalism, Kurt.
Paid for.
That's not capitalism. That's corruption. Those are two different things.
No, listen, it's not. It's just like, because capitalism can be corrupt. It is corruption. It is greedy capitalism. Don't act like, oh, you can't be.
Hold on, because again, just like last week when I slam dunked your ass, right? Just like last week.
You did.
Now you switched it to can be. Moving the goalpost. I told you, hold on. I speak fluent Democrat, all right? I know when you guys are moving the goalpost, all right? I know when you're moving the goalpost. See, the premise of capitalism, when it started, was like, all right, if I have something and I can teach someone else to do it, then I can make money. And then that person can go and teach someone else to do it, and then they can make money. And that was trying to move from the trading, right? From the trading to where I don't have to rely on trade. I can bring my own skill set to the table, just like you are currently creating a program, right? You want to create a program to help people that are going to help change people's lives, and that's worth something. That has nothing to do with politics. That has nothing to do with corruption. That has to do with you following your passion, something that you believe in that's going to help other people better their lives. That is the essence of capitalism. Where did it get screwed up? When politics infiltrated it. I told you, everything politics touches goes to hell. Everything, because it's not about party anymore. It's about power, and it's about votes. You can shake your head all you want to, but that's
because
what it
you're
is.
wrong.
How am I wrong? Tell me how I'm wrong.
Because it's not when politics got into capitalism, it's when capitalism got into politics. That's when it started. And this has been going on for centuries. When we can even go back to the days of Jesus Christ, I'm losing my memory here.
Why did Napoleon try to take over the world? Why did Hitler try to take over the world? Why did Mao try to take over his empire? How did the Roman Empire come in? This was all long before capitalism. It was always been about power. But back then it was power in goods.
Right, but the power came from, look, when the oil baron from here, what the hell is his name? You had Charles Schwab. You had who was backing Edison? You had three of the richest men in America who were controlling everything because they were paying the politicians to benefit them, to give them land rights that they shouldn't have had land rights to be able to lay railroad tracks down where they shouldn't have been able to lay railroad tracks down to. They were given the best land and for free, so that they could put towns there that were going to make them money. And it was all set up because these greedy bastards paid the politicians to give them what they wanted. And our politicians got wealthy off of their backs because of the fact that they gave them these men what they wanted. This is greedy capitalism. Capitalism, yes, in its purest form is great, but it doesn't stay there. Read the book by Adam Smith. It's all about capitalism. It's all about, in fact, you should read Dennis Kimbro, Dr. Dennis Kimbro, because he explains what the challenge is with greed and capitalism, and how capitalism can be poisoned through greed, and how it can not just not be beneficial, but it can harm the people of this country, and does. And so it's just like communism or fascism or any other ism, they can all in theory be great, but in real world they're not, because people are greedy, you know what, and because they're greedy, they ruin these isms because of it. So
you just hit the nail on the head. You just hit the nail on the head. You just said greedy people. That's the issue. Yes. Greedy people. Like everything that's happening now was happening 1,000 years ago, probably 2,000 years ago. Everything happening now. It just looks a little different because that's what it's all about. It's about power and money. So I don't know if you saw that video from that whistleblower, and I know some people doubt the validity of Project Veritas, but to me, like, it's on video. I know videos can be edited nowadays, but where homeboy was saying it is so easy to buy politicians. It's so easy. You know, because like politicians,
I agree with that.
Yes, like politicians don't make $1 bajillion a year. You know what I mean? It's like, I think Nancy Pelosi's salary was what, 180,000, I want to say. Yet their net worth is like 400 million. You know, so it's like if you're in office and someone comes to you and says, "Hey, listen, this is on the table. Kind of make things go our way, and we'll cut you this." Kind of like 10% for the big guy, but we won't talk about that today. You know, so that stuff happens it runs rampant, but it's mutually beneficial. Like it doesn't just benefit one party, whether it's the corporation approaching the politician or the politician approaching the corporation, because they can go both ways. Where someone can meet with the CEO, I think my sister put in JP Morgan, they could go to the CEO of JP Morgan,
she's right.
Right, and be like, hey, if we do XYZ, like it's mutually beneficial. Like that's what my point was. And all of this stuff, we always want to pin it on one group, one party, one whatever, but it's not. Like this is a totally, I don't even know what the right word is, but both sides are doing it. You know what I mean? It's like my sister said it here, like capitalism is unable to be controlled, but neither is any other ism. You can't control it. It's like, so like, okay. Hold on. Like socialism, right? How many people do you have coming on these platforms talking about how great socialism is? How many people do you have talking about Mao's regime in China, how great it was, or Stalin's regime, or even Putin's regime in Russia, and how great it was? You know what I'm saying? Like there's no one great thing that works for the people. And why? Going back to what I said, the issue is corruption. It doesn't matter if it's capitalist, socialist, communist. It doesn't matter if it's religion fueled or non-religion fueled. Like, it doesn't matter what's fueling it. There is corruption, and that corruption is fueled by money and power.
Okay, and what is capitalism all about? Money and power. And here's the thing. I agree with everything you just said. We're arguing the same point, just differently, I think. But we're arguing the same thing. I agree. That's why I said there shouldn't be just one ism. That's why the countries who are doing the best...
I'm sorry, my sister said those people have goals.
Well, see, I would disagree with her because in true socialism, that would be correct. I mean, how would you have goals if everything's given to you? But in a socialist democracy, you have capitalism and socialism working together, hand in hand, and that's what I believe works. Is the a pairing of two isms, and instead of just one. This way, it helps keep each other in check, where it's not just a free for all, but it's also not a greed for all. It's just, to me, that makes sense. And yet this is what Bernie prescribed, and yet everyone would come out and go, oh, he's a socialist. No, he's not a socialist. And you just say that.
Bernie is a self-described socialist. He calls himself a socialist. Oh, don't make me find the video. Yes, he does.
No, when you find the video, what he'll say is that if this is what you call a socialist, then yes, I'm a socialist. And what he said was, and again, I don't agree with everything that Bernie says, but the majority of it I do, which is get money out of politics. Quit with socialism for corporations, and yet,
says the politician that benefits from money in politics. Come on, that's what I'm saying. That's bullshit. No, go look at his bank account.
How much?
Go look at his bank account and tell me he doesn't.
He doesn't.
Right? The average senator makes what, $130,000 a year? Tell me what Bernie Sanders' net worth is. Come on. See, that's the point. That's the point I'm trying. Okay, so how do you get to 130,000 to a few million? You think he's that great of a speaker? The same thing I said about Obama and his $50 million mansion on Martha's Vineyard, as him and his wife are talking about.
True.
Wait, hold on. And him and his wife talking about white flight when they moved into a neighborhood and all the white people left because of their blackness and they were intimidated. Yet they live on Martha's Vineyard, which is 0.05% black. It's all BS, and people buy it hook, line, and sinker. U.S. politics is the biggest hustle in American history. It's the biggest hustle because both sides put out this facade, and people just flock to it like it's nothing. And if you call out the hypocrisy in one side, then you must favor the other side. It's like no, the other side is full of shit too. But it's like I'm willing to have the conversation about both sides. And it's like, and I know you're left leaning. I know this, and I know there are some things,
Socially,
and I know some things that you just I don't want to say you just run with, because I don't think I don't think you blindly follow, but there are some things that you say where I'm like, that dude got that shit right off of MSNBC.
I don't watch MSNBC. I haven't watched. In fact, I haven't watched
You've
mainstream
been watching
media for
YouTube shorts,
years.
then.
Nope. I know what I watch is Kyle Kalinske because, like I told you, he's one of the few people who will give it from both sides. Now, let me go. Let me just push back on Bernie. Bernie's attacked by his own side because he calls out the bullshit on his side. And Bernie made his millions, his few million that he had, because he wrote a book, and he can account for all his money. He doesn't get. In fact, there was a politician who said that the lobbyists, there's two people they don't go to. One was Bernie Sanders, and the other one was his son is a senator now, Paul Rand. Said they would never go to those two because they knew they weren't going to be able to buy them off. So you can say whatever you want about Bernie Sanders. I'm telling you this, as you know, he has his flaws, I'm sure, just like every person out there. But as honest as they come, Bernie Sanders is the person. Now, does he do everything that I think he should do? No. Does I agree with everything that he does? No, I don't. But he's, at least I know this. He's a good faith actor, and that he does what he does for the people. And the people of this country, as I've said a million times and will continue to say, you people have the politicians that you deserve because that's what they reflect who you are. If you were honest people and had a brain in your head, Bernie Sanders would have been our president, without a doubt. Now, that's my opinion. You can say whatever you want to say, but I'm going to tell you right now, Bernie Sanders would have been our president, and we would all be benefiting from that for all these years now. But instead, you voted for Trump. Now, I get why they voted for Trump, because they didn't want another Hillary Clinton. They didn't want another corporate Democrat or corporate any Republican in there. That's why Trump ran through the best the Republicans had. He ran through them like they were nothing. And yet the Democrats didn't give a fuck what the people wanted and didn't care what they had to say. And they shoved Hillary down everyone's throat. And that's why she lost the election, because she's just as bad as all the rest of them. So, all I can tell you is that, at some point you're going to have to be brave enough to vote for a Marianne Williamson, a Bernie Sanders, or someone of that ilk who really are looking out for the people. And when you can tell they're looking out for the people, when their own party comes after them, when the mainstream media comes after them, they're doing something right because they're doing it for us and not for them. Now, let me say this real quick about your religious right groups, okay? Because you made mention about the left is coming after religious books. First off, name me a book that they're coming after that they're trying to shut down. Now, I'm not saying the left hasn't been against Christianity, because they have, and I've called them out. I said, it's funny how you'll call out Christians, but you don't call out Muslims for the same reasons. Because why? Because they're people of color, and you're not supposed to call people of color out? Is that it? Or are you just afraid of Muslims? Because I think that if you're going to call one religious group out for something, you should call all of them out if they're doing the same damn thing. So I agree, there has been an attack on Christianity. As far as when you call it attack, I would say it's more like no one's putting up with their bullshit anymore, because Christianity has been attacking groups like Black groups and LGBT groups for decades. So to get a little taste of their own medicine, shut up. I don't want to hear you whining. I mean, I don't agree with it. I don't think that you should shut Christian people down any more than you should shut gay people down. That they should have their rights to their freedoms just like we should. But just because someone's pushing back and want to give you a taste of your own medicine, you want to cry about it, maybe you should have thought about that for all the decades that you were doing this to the gay people or to Black people.
All right, hold on, pause, because nobody shifts gears like you do. It's like we've been going through topics.
I'm a speed shifter.
At least stay on topic. Give me a chance to respond.
Well, you went all over the place.
Me? I was
Yes,
all over
that's
the
how
place.
I went back. Yeah, that's why I went back to your saying, "Oh, the left is trying to shut down religious books." What religious books?
I said both sides are shutting down books. Both sides.
You,
Now, right now, this second, I can't give you examples, but if you give me time to look it up, 'cause I told you I live in a blue state. It's happening here. Right, it's happening here. There are people that have been all over the local news here that have been calling that out. But like I said, I don't have the facts right in front of me, so we can circle back to it next week. But I just want to put up something that my sister just put, that there are plenty of blonde-haired, blue-eyed Muslims, right? And to sit
there
here
are,
and
but
say, and to sit here and say that Christianity has been targeting black people. Where? You know how many black Christians I know? I'm talking hundreds of thousands. Hundreds
are
of
you kidding?
thousands.
Who do
Of what?
you think was? Who do you think were the groups back in the 30s and the 40s and the
Oh,
50s
here we
that
go.
wanted
Back
to
in the
keep?
30s, but
No,
it's a fucking 100 years ago,
wait,
Kurt.
wait
It's
a
a
no,
hundred
wait a
years ago.
minute.
I'm talking about
Wait a
now.
minute. You know what? Here's what I got to say. You know,
100 years ago,
God
lynching was
damn it.
legal.
Yeah, I know. And here's the thing: it's like you got all these white boys out there who can't get over the Civil War, but they expect black people to get over slavery.
They,
30s,
I'm sorry,
the
slavery was a
30s.
long time ago. You got to let shit go. You absolutely have to let shit go. And I
You
will
do.
say that 100% on the record. I don't see a bunch of Jews sitting around talking about the Holocaust and crying about their circumstances today when the Jewish population is one of the richest in this country. When there was a sick man in Germany
Right.
that tried to erase them from existence. Tried to erase
All
them
right.
from existence, Kurt. Right? No,
We're
that's
going.
relevant.
Wait.
Hold on. That's relevant because you know my feelings about the Democratic Party and slavery. It's like they want black people focused on slavery. They want black people focused on Jim Crow so they can control them for their votes. The Democrats' nightmare is black people realizing how strong they are, realizing how smart they are, realizing how successful they can be, and
Okay.
they're going to end up
You're
losing their
changing the
vote.
goalposts. You're changing the goalposts now.
Oh, now
That's
I'm
not what
moving
we're
the
talking.
goalpost.
No,
Have I not said that to
because
you before?
wait.
Have I not
Yes, you
said that
have,
to you
but that's not.
before? Okay, I'm not moving
Yes,
shit.
but
I've
that's not.
always had that
Yes, you are,
position.
because that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is, you said, when we're Christians against black people back in the 30s to 40s to 50s to 60s even, and that wasn't 100 years ago. That was when I was born, and they were pushing to keep segregation. It was George Wallace who was standing up there as a proud Baptist Christian who was going to make sure no black child walked into that white school. So don't give me any of that BS that white Christians haven't tried to keep black people down, because they have. Just like they've tried to keep the LGBTQ community down, and not only that, but use the police to do it, to go in and raid their bars and crack their heads and beat them, and not only that, criminalize them up into the 70s, criminalize them for being gay. So I don't want to hear that Christians didn't have anything to do with this, because the hell they didn't. And then
What's
when
that got to
all
do
of a
with today?
sudden, when because now that black people do have power and do have rights, and gay people have power and they have rights, now they're pushing back against some of these Christian groups. And now the Christians going, "Oh, poor me, what are they doing? Just trying to beat up on us." Oh, you mean what you were doing all those years? You don't like it, do you? Because it don't feel good. That's what I'm talking about. Now, again, I don't agree with any of this, because to me that's just revenge, and revenge doesn't solve anything.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a problem with Christians, and Christians have the same belief as Muslims do, then you need to call out Muslims just like you call out the Christians. I'm no fan of Christians, as you know, I don't hate them, but it's not like I'm going to go to church anytime soon and praise Jesus. But I'm not going. If you're going to call one out, call them all out. Don't be a hypocrite and just call one because that's the end thing to do. Because it's now it's into to beat up on Christians, but it's not in to beat up on Muslims. It's like,
See, but
because you're being a hypocrite.
but this goes back to what we always, every time we talk, like you and I have had many talks long before we started this. This is only episode 13. We spoke for a solid year before we started recording these, right?
Yes.
And so like we've been down this road before. Everything you just said, it goes back to votes. It goes back to votes in this country. It goes back to votes. The Muslim vote isn't a deciding factor in our U.S. elections. The black vote is. To the Republicans, the Christian vote is. They are deciding factors. And all of this logic and all of these other things, it all sounds great. But when it comes to politics, the bottom line is who is going to vote for us? You know, who's going to vote for us? And I just want to comment on something quick that my sister put. It's like, yeah, many people have been killed in the name of Christianity, but they have been killed in the name of Muslim, in the name of Buddhist, in the name of the Roman Empire, in the name of the Chinese, in the name of the Russians. And like it's a worldwide phenomenon. Like that thing, wait, hold on. That thing is not unique to here. It goes back to slavery. Like this slaves in Africa right now, today. And we act like it only happened in America and that people think that roots was real, where white people just waltzed into Africa and just took people out. And it's like that's not how that went. That's why it's called the slave trade. It's the slave trade. There are so many things in history that have been distorted to get us people confused and fighting with each other while the politicians are behind closed doors signing shit that nobody will take the time to actually read and understand what they're doing. And the media puts out whatever blurb they want to put out, and either side goes and runs with it. It's like that's their MO. It's like, you know, this. It's not about logic. It's not about reason. It's not about what's right, wrong, or what's best for the people. As much as it should be, I agree with you. It 100% should be, but that's not reality. It's like we are all in this to keep them in power and to keep them rich.
Tell me this. Did Mao, as far as you know, did Mao ever say, I'm of peace, come follow me? Did Putin ever say, I'm of peace, come follow me? Did anybody that you claim that, you know, whether it's the Mongolians, the Chinese, the Russians, the Americans, whoever, who kill people in the name of whatever, did they ever say, I'm of peace, come follow me? No. But the Christians sure in the hell did. I'm of peace. But if you don't believe the way I do, I'm going to kill your ass. And that's exactly what they did. You want to preach the gospel of Christ while you're killing people because they refuse to believe in that religion. And therefore, and this is why I find it, I don't want to say humorous, I just find it odd that Black Americans today grasp onto Christianity the way they do because it was force-fed down your ancestors' throats to where if you didn't believe, they would beat you until you died. So you
kind of sounds like today's left.
Yeah, well, it sounds like today's right as well because it is both of them. And you keep saying the left. You keep saying the left as though I'm going to protect them, and you know damn well I'm not because I agree with you. The left is gone. I've told you the extremist groups on the left are as bad, if not worse, than the extremist groups on the right now. But they're no different than the extremist groups on the right were years ago.
It's like the extreme on the left, right? The extremes on the left, they're more radical. Like if they want something, they will pull out all the stops. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
I think the right, they're a bunch of pansies. But the left, if they want something, they'll go at it 100%. It's like I'll give them credit for that. And for my lovely sister, I'm gonna call you out. If you want to come on this show next week and debate this, I will debate this with you. I will absolutely debate this with you because and I'm gonna tell you straight up, you don't want to do it, right? You know, but that's the thing. It's like we are all conditioned to believe a certain thing. When you go outside of the green and actually look, like take personal feelings out of it, right? Take personal feelings out of it and look at things objectively, look at things realistically, and look at things for what they are, not what you want them to be, not what you think they should be. Look at things for what they are. And just look at how both sides in the US, how both sides of the political spectrum are playing us. And it's to the point, say, you and I, we have the balls to come up here, broadcast live, and talk about it. So many people always say, well, things need to be discussed, talks need to be had, and then, like people will come on our live stream, talk shit, and then we'll call them out. We'll come and debate us, and they'll be like, nah, I'm good. It's like, well, why? Why? Like me, I'm not afraid of being wrong. Just like my sister said that she'll come on and debate. See me, I'm not afraid of being wrong. Like if she comes on here, wait, hold on, right? If she comes on here and she sets me straight, I will concede. Okay, my bad, I was wrong. I'm not afraid to have that conversation. The problem here is so many people they want to hide behind the keyboard. They want to hide behind Google. Like you can Google anything. You can Google anything and find what you're looking for. Like if you want to find used toilets for sale, you'll find it. Like you will literally find anything. If you can find books that the left abandoned, you'll find it. Books that the right's banning, you'll find it. You'll find 100 truths about the slave trade. You'll find 100 myths about the slave trade. Like you'll find it all. So, but it's a matter of getting together, going with what you think you know or what you know, and match it up with what somebody else knows. Like my sister, she might take something away from me. I might take something away from her. The three of us might take something away from each other, but we don't know until we open up the platform and have the discussion.
Okay, I have a question. Is Monique, is she married?
I don't believe so. She's my older sister.
Okay, good. I want to have her on the show to do Passport Bros. That's what I
want. Monique, did you hear that?
That would make a great show.
See, and what you just said here, they will never be real because of all the deception. Exactly. See, and that's why conversations like this need to happen. So we can figure out what you know, what I know, what she knows. If we bring anyone else into the discussion, it's like that's how we grow. She's divorced. It's like that's how we grow.
Yeah.
It's having these talks. But again, people have to not be afraid to share your truth. Like I said, if we come out of that conversation, I'm like, you know what? I stand corrected. I have no problems admitting, you know what? I just got checked right there. It's okay. And you too. There were a couple of times where you were like, all right, you know what? You're right. And same thing with me. All right, you know what? Like when we were talking about police brutality, and I can talk about, I grew up, like we know all the police here in our town. Like we know them all by name. Because I can roll by and be like, hey, Officer Thompson, how are you? So like if I get pulled over 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be fine. It's like I don't live in a huge city where there's millions of people, and when there's thousands of police officers and there's so much more crime and so much more negative interactions. Like I don't live in that environment, but that still doesn't invalidate my reality. And that's the thing that's the thing with these conversations. Like when I was listening to you talk about when you were a police officer, I never tried to tell you, no, those things don't happen. I was like, wow, just listening to you talk, I was like, wow. Like, fortunately, I never had to deal with that. It's like
a lot of it will depend on geographically where you come from, what your socioeconomic level is. I mean, all of that comes into play, and so everyone, depending on where you're at, and that, and those points will determine on what your encounter can or will be with a police officer. And again, not all police officers are going to judge you one way or the other, but there are too many of them out there who will. There are too many of them out there who are taught, and in fact, I would say the vast majority, if not all of them, are taught it's a them against us world, and that you need to go home safely. And if that means someone dying instead of you, then so be it. And unfortunately, a lot of these men and women are not prepared to take on this kind of job because they're afraid of their own shadows and they overreact. But see again, if you and I overreact, we can be taken to trial for that and we could be tried. But they don't, they get away because of qualified immunity and there shouldn't be any. So anyway,
Mm-hmm.
so I agree with you. The thing is one of the things that I think you and I also agree on is that your knowledge that you have, it needs to be legitimate. I'm
Yes.
not going to take someone's reporting of what Breitbart said and take it with a grain of salt. That's all I'm going to do is take it with a grain of salt because I know Breitbart is extreme right leaning and that they like Fox News have been caught lying in their reporting. And so I'm not going to give them any credit. So, and again, and there's left leaning, news agencies out there as well that are just as bad as Fox
Joy
or
Reid.
Breitbart. Yeah, exactly.
I'm
So
sorry. People that follow that woman, it's like I'm not. She has been dying to get Jim Jordan's name in here, so let me throw it up. This is like the fourth time she's put like Jim Jordan, so let me get it on.
Jim Jordan is he's an embarrassment. Seriously, the fact that he was a wrestler is an embarrassment to all wrestlers. He's just uh, I
Hey,
I
Jesse
can't
Ventura
I
became
just
governor.
no Jesse Ventura. I could say Jesse Ventura again. Whether you liked him or disliked him, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, I can tell you these are good faith actors. They truly did what they believed was the right thing to do, whether
Yeah.
it was or not. They were acting in good faith. Jim Jordan is a lying little punk. That's what he is. And
Way to
he
save
and
yourself.
I'm trying to because your sister's on here. I'm trying to use better language. So,
I've heard her speak. You're all right.
yeah.
But hold on, because before we finish, I gotta throw this up here. Bernie Sanders just earned as much blasting capitalism last year as he did representing Vermont. Here's how the socialist senator became a millionaire. Just wanted to throw
Okay,
that
we
out
agree
there.
with
And
that.
this is from Yahoo
Wait.
Finance.
Did you read it?
I didn't read
I
the
know how he
entire
became
thing. I didn't read the entire
okay.
thing,
So
but I read
I wait a
some while
minute.
you were talking.
So even the headline says Bernie Sanders earned just as much blasting capitalism last year as he did representing Vermont. So what?
Yeah.
Oh, so he earned another $186,000. Wow.
No,
When you
it
have
says
people
his
like
net. It says his net was over 3 million, like you said.
right,
Right, like
and
you
he
said.
made most of that from his best selling book.
It doesn't
So
say that on
yeah,
here.
so
It just says exclusive assets.
it does well because they don't want to tell you. Oh yeah, because they want to sit because the headline is tantalizing. Oh, he made so much money. No, he's got $3 million. How much does Nancy Pelosi have? How much does Mitch McConnell have? How much does
Yeah,
I
that's
mean?
nuts.
Just go down the list. Are you crazy? How much did the Clintons ended up after Bill Clinton was done with his presidency was in debt, and now how many hundreds of millions are they worth? How many hundreds of millions are the Obamas worth? And yet,
Mm.
but Bernie Sanders is corrupt because he's been in politics longer than they've been born, and yet he can only amass 3 million. Please, that is such a that's such a poor like way of trying to say someone's corrupt. If he's corrupt, he's the
I didn't
worst
say
corrupt
corrupt.
person
I
in
was
the
just
world.
saying
No,
socialist because
I'm
earlier
saying
you were saying he wasn't a socialist.
he's
And I'm
not.
just
He's a
saying that's
Democrat.
Yahoo
He's not.
Finance, which is a reputable publication,
No, they're. Oh
saying
my God, no.
Yahoo
Yahoo
Finance is
Finance.
not?
No, they can't even spell words right.
Wow.
What happened? I've read many Yahoo um, uh, pieces, and they must not have an editor. They must not have a proofreader because not only can they not spell, not only do they not. I mean, don't we all have spell check nowadays? How the hell do you put out a piece on
I
Yahoo and
I
not
know
make sure that it's all
as a
correct?
speaker or as a like getting in Yahoo Finance is it's a big deal, and it's not cheap to get into it. Are they like a political paper? No, but they're a reputable organization. Like if you get published in Yahoo Finance, that's a good thing on your resume.
Okay.
Kurt, tell him we can do this all day. But so I guess we should bring it down. What are some of your final words? What do you want to say?
I want to know if Monique will be on the show with us for Passport Bros. That's what I want to know. I want to know if she's.
I feel like she said yes earlier. Let me scroll up.
I want to know if since she's been divorced.
I saw done and I saw I will.
And I will. All right. That's what I want to know if she's had to deal with any of these Passport Bros. If she's back out in the dating scene or whatever. So that would be a fun conversation.
Passport Bros. I told you I want to debate her on the slave trade. That's what I want to debate. Like I've been doing my homework on it. Oh, she don't know. See, she's 60 now, so she's probably isn't up to date on all this Passport Bros stuff. That's right. I age blasted.
Well, you know what? Right I did. The reason why she don't know about Passport Bros because she don't act like the women of today. That's why.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. So next week too, we got to get into that video that you wanted to get into with Candace.
Oh yes, we do. We need to talk about that.
I watched that. I'll probably watch it again because I think we can have a pretty productive conversation about that. You know, but ideally, I want to get other people involved, but they're all flaky. Well, this week it was my fault because I decided to take my boys camping.
Right.
So, you know, because they go back to school in a couple of weeks. Like summer goes by so fast, and this was the best week for me to take them camping. So because we probably could have did it yesterday.
The following week, I want to talk about your girl Bobart being a call girl.
She is not my girl. I just said she was pretty. I didn't say I agreed with her or I support her. I didn't say any of that. I just said she was cute. That was it.
Do you agree with her being a call girl? You think that's okay?
I don't know any of that story. I mean, it's honestly it's one of those things. This is where the lefties kind of trip over themselves. Where it's like they want to hear me out. They want to empower today's woman to do whatever, and your past doesn't matter, and live your life, and blah blah blah. But when it comes to peeps on the right, past matters. Past matters. No. Like with Biden giving a eulogy for a friggin' grand wizard from the KKK, the lefties say, "Well, people change." But Joe Rogan says the N-word 15 years ago, and they try to cancel him. So yes, it's selective. When does your past matter?
In some of that, you're correct. However, the only reason they come after. Uh-oh. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, so there's a difference because I agree with you. I think people can change, but I also think that that the left does go after the wrong people. But in the case of people like Bobart or Green, it's because of their hypocritical stances of that now they're Christians and they want to force their Christianity down everyone's throats and telling people how they're immoral and how and so they're trying to push this morality when we go, wait a minute. Marjorie, weren't you cheating on your husband with this guy? What? And yet you want to talk to people about morals? You want to tell people about morals? And the same thing with Bobert. She's done the same thing. These are two hypocrites that aren't any more Christian than I am, but use the Christian card because they know that's what their constituents want to hear. And so they use it to their advantage, and that's all it is. It's bullshit. So
I got so much to say about this, but you know what? I'm gonna hold up. I'm gonna hold up, right? I'm just gonna hold up. We're at the end now, so I don't want to end the night slam dunking you again. So we'll just
please.
We'll just
you
let it go.
We'll just let it go.
Reject what? What? Are you kidding me? I told you, go back to the comments of our last video. Nobody sided with you, okay? they were all telling you. They were all telling you that you were cray-cray.
They didn't say no such thing. You had one guy from Alabama No kid. That's he's unintelligent.
There were a couple.
Yeah, okay.
Don't make me pull it up. There were a couple, and
I
I even told you before I started you was getting slam dunked, but it's all good because it's okay. It's okay, Kurt. It's okay. I gave you a couple of days to let you heal, right? I gave you a couple of days to let you heal.
There's nothing to heal. There's nothing to heal. I consider the source. Look at.
I'm not talking him. I'm talking when I slam dunked you, not him.
You didn't though.
I did.
So here's the thing. The only reason that I want everybody out there to know this, the only reason I'm on TikTok is because he asked me to get on TikTok. Now, if you're above 17 and you're on TikTok, I consider the source. Sorry, I don't have anything to
listen. 25% of the billion people on TikTok are ages 35 and up. 25% of 1 billion people. That says that there's 250 million people that say I drug your ass.
No, there's 250 million people out there who are too stupid to know better than to get on TikTok. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's called opportunity. And what brings up that opportunity? Capitalism.
No, yeah.
Back to what we said earlier. Capitalism brings up that opportunity. There's people on TikTok doing the stupidest shit imaginable that are making way more than a full-time income than college-educated people. Like, that is the beauty of capitalism. Are there some dark sides of capitalism? Yes, we touched on them earlier. There is definitely a beauty side outside of the corporation. See, the corporations are what has demonized it, right? The corporations did that. But any person, regardless, like one of my 14 or both of my 14-year-old twin boys can come in here right when we're done, start a YouTube channel, and they can become millionaires by the time they're 18. Socialism and communism will never allow that to happen.
Again, but a democratic socialist society would.
How?
And so here's the thing. So because, again, it takes the best of capitalism, gets rid of the greed, and the best of socialism, and gets rid of the laziness, and you have the best of these two isms, and they work together. So you make sure that people who need healthcare get healthcare without having these predatory insurance companies, just preying on them. And then when they need something,
you stuttering.
No, listen. And that all comes down to because I'm getting old and I keep forgetting words.
Here we go. My question to you was how? Because I'm gonna tell you how. Even my sister earlier, when I was talking about, I don't remember exactly what she said, but she said I was wrong, and I just let it go because we could go down a whole different rabbit hole with that. But I said they could come in here right now. They could go to Amazon Associates. They could pick 5 products that they want to sell, and they can start promoting that product right now tonight, and they can wake up in the morning with sales. Like, that's a how, right? That's a how.
Okay.
Your answer to me was a hypothetical. Mine is
it's not. No, it's not.
Wait, hold on. Wait. Because yours requires the government's help.
That's not true.
Nothing is stopping my kids from coming in here right now, starting an Amazon account. They can start making sales today. That's the beauty of capitalism. What you said healthcare for everyone. That can't happen in the next hour.
I'm sorry, but I'm saying that
Jordan goes up with the reverse. He slam dunked him again.
Jordan, my ass. Please. I'm going to tell you exactly what it was. It's like, look, do you not think that there are kids in Finland and Sweden and Norway and all these democratic socialist countries who are doing the same thing our kids are doing? They're making bucks too. They can do it. They don't need the government to step in, and the government doesn't. But the government
talking about them. I'm talking about here. I said in the U.S.
And I said, and it can be done in other countries that are democratic socialist countries, that you can put capitalism and socialism together, and it works. And they can still do it.
Move in the goalpost. Here's the goalpost.
No,
you're
moving the goalpost.
I said
because
here.
I'm telling you, here's the thing. The reason why socialism and capitalism work better together is because now, not only do you have those 14-year-olds who could become millionaires, but you also don't have people who can't get health care because we have a country who denies them health care because of predatory group agencies like insurance companies who play the middleman.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad you went there because that's where I was gonna go if you went somewhere else. I was like, no, I said that has everything to do with insurance. My mom and I were actually talking about that earlier today. Like it's an absolute crime that insurance companies can refuse to pay for things. You know, it's like that's one thing I would say I totally agree with. If any president would have and I don't even care what party. They could be left, right, independent. If they come out and say, I will regulate the insurance companies to where they cannot refuse service to someone at all. Like if a doctor says you need this medicine, you should get it. If a doctor says you need an MRI, you should get it. You should absolutely get it. They should not be able to refuse that. And like my sister just said here, insurance companies are evil.
Yep.
And I dealt with that. Like I hurt my elbow in 2020. This was right before everything shut down. And I could have had an MRI that January. I could have had surgery a couple weeks later and I would have been healed. But because initially the doctor wrote that I had a bruise on my elbow, but then I went to go see my orthopedic and she was like, oh my God, you need an MRI. It took me 7 months to get the MRI. 7 months. I could have had the MRI, had the surgery, and been healed by the time I got the MRI. And that was just because the insurance companies went by what the initial doctor wrote that, oh, it just seems like it's a bruise. But then once they did the deeper look, they were just like, oh, no, the initial doctor said it's just a bruise, so that doesn't warrant an MRI. So I had to be in pain for 7 months, and that's insane.
Because they are the epitome of greedy capitalism. They are what's wrong with capitalism.
And yes, so that I agree with 100%.
Okay. And so anything that has to do with life, liberty, and freedom, and it should not be able to be monetized. There should be no insurance companies. You should be able to get the health care you need without insurance companies having to be a middleman. Freedom. There should be no prisons that are owned, privatized prisons, because they base their money on how long they can keep you in that fucking prison. Bullshit. That should not be allowed. Things that depend on our health and our freedom should never be able to be monetized like that, and yet our system is. And I hate to tell you this, but that's the right's doing. Now, again, I know.
Again, we can go down that rabbit hole, but like I said to you, it's kind of like unions and management. That's a lifelong adversary. It's like unions and management are never gonna 100% agree. It's not gonna happen. Like you'll eventually agree on a CBA, and then you fight until the next CBA, and then you fight until the next CBA. And it's the same thing with governments. Like the right's going to do something to piss off the left's going to do something to piss off the right. It's a never-ending cycle. I told you, I'm about to be 49. Okay, I first voted for Bill Clinton in 1992. And it's the same effing talking points from 1992. Yep. I remember watching the debates back then, watching the debates in the 2000s between Bush and Gore, you know, and then Bush and Kerry, and then Obama and whoever Obama ran against, the old dude. You know, and I know how old I am. Yes, I'm going to be 49. she wrote 49 with a question mark. Right, but it's like it's the exact same talking points. It's, you know, the left's talking about healthcare, the right's talking about the Second Amendment. You know, the left's talking about whatever. Like it's literally the exact same. The only thing that's new is the trans thing. That's the only thing that's being talked about now. I mean, more expanded LGBT rights now than 30 years ago when I first voted. You know, it's like, but other than all of the main talk, Roe versus Wade, Second Amendment, affirmative action. It's all the same bullshit. It's like none of it is ever going to be fully addressed because both sides have vastly different agendas. And so
Yeah, one is
everybody
trying to live their own life. One's trying to live their own life, and the other one's trying to force you to live the life they want you to live. That's the difference.
But you said it yourself. I mean, the left is just as bad. Like if you disagree with the left, they will make your life a living hell. They will make your life a living hell. Like told you, both sides play the same game. It's just a different tactic. They're both playing the same game.
But here's what I can tell you: on the left, we have at least a couple of people who want to change that and go against the left as well. You don't have anyone like that I'm aware of on the right who wants to go against the right and go against the left and go, look.
We don't have a whole group of rhinos that are trying to get Trump out. I shouldn't say we. I'm definitely not aligned with them. But both sides have it. It's like you have to acknowledge it. It's like just because you're left-leaning doesn't mean you can't acknowledge it.
Tell me who you have on the right who wants to get rid of insurance companies.
I'm not going that freaking Monique.
Yeah, because you don't have nobody.
Hold on. She put not Jim Jordan. No, it's like right now, because I told you, I'm no political scholar. I don't have all the answers right on the tip of my head, right on the tip of my tongue.
Your sister does.
But what I do know is that they both play the same game, and we both agreed with this. They both play the same game. Like I was debating with someone earlier on Facebook, and they were talking about Trump being indicted, and he's all celebrating and stuff. And I was like, dude, it's like, don't act like both sides don't do the same crap. And he's like, oh, name one Democrat that's been indicted. OJ wasn't convicted. Name me 10 people that truly, honestly think OJ didn't do it. Come on. I watched that entire trial. He was guilty than a mofo. You know, it was like he got let off from politics because of what happened with the Rodney King beating and how LA got torn to shreds. When they were reading that verdict, there were people all over the streets of LA. If they came back with a not guilty verdict, LA would have suffered. You know, so don't say just because they didn't get the conviction means that they're innocent. Hillary Clinton is guilty as a mofo. Obama is guilty as a mofo. George W. Bush is guilty as a mofo. Dick Cheney is guilty as a mofo. You know, just because they weren't indicted, right? Just because they weren't indicted doesn't mean that they weren't guilty. I did answer your question. I said right now, off the top of my head, I know. Give me a day or two, and we can revisit it. But right now, this second, no.
You know what? You're gonna come back with zero. I'll tell you what. Come back with even one person from the right, and I'll tell you slam dunk me. Okay? But I'm gonna tell you right now.
What was the question again? What was the question again? Just so I can make sure.
Get one person from the right who wants to get rid of insurance companies. And see, we have someone on the left. We have Marianne Williamson and we have Bernie Sanders.
It cut out. Say it again.
I said on the left, we have Bernie Sanders and Marianne Williamson, who both have been fighting to get rid of insurance companies because they agree with the people, they're evil, and they have no business in our lives.
All right, so it's about getting rid of insurance?
Getting rid of insurance companies.
See, but going back to what you said earlier, the right tells you who they are. So, like, you're right. I'm probably not going to find any because the right's going to tell you, like, that'd be fucking stupid. It's like that. That's what's going to. Wait, hold on a second, Monique. Do we gotta obey Obama too? Because let me tell you, I spent the last 6 months looking into this guy. And you definitely don't want to have that debate, even more so than the slavery debate.
She's pulling one on you. You didn't see what she said?
What do you mean?
She said, are you talking about Obama Willis?
Yeah, because, well, earlier when I was talking about OJ, she said the glove didn't fit. It caused reasonable doubt. Come on. That was the stupidest thing. Yeah, that was the stupidest thing. But they were stupid. They were told, don't do it, because anybody who's ever had a wet glove in their life knows it doesn't fit your hand after it gets wet. Anybody knows that. And even still, again, like I said, when they were reading that verdict, all the people on the streets were like they were waiting. If they said the words guilty, they were ready to ransack LA. And again,
They were looking for any reason to loot.
Yep, that's what
That's
politics
all that was
has to
about.
take over and be like, if we find this guy guilty, it's gonna be a problem. It's like there were probably tens of thousands of people that lined the streets. Like I told you, I was working third shift back then. I watched every inch of that trial. And I think
that's where they should have
that
called
man
in the
was
National
guilty.
Guard. I would have called in the National Guard.
Yep.
And I would have said, okay, he's guilty. Now what? That's what I would have done.
And again, see, but what you just said, right? That's rationale. This goes back to politics, right? California is a blue state. You're not gonna bring in the National Guard against black people. You need the black people's vote. You can roll your eyes all you want to. Damn it, I'm right. All right. They would not bring in a National Guard against black people on the street.
Listen, I agree with you, but every time you say that's a blue state, like the red states don't pull the same bullshit, and you know they do. So quit. Go. It's like we say, well, this black man did this, as if white men don't do the same damn thing. Please.
This goes back to last week's Slam Dunkin', right? Stay in the moment. Stay in the moment. I said in that moment. All right. I said in that moment. You're in a blue state. You got all these black people lining the streets of LA, right? All the streets of LA.
The red state would have done in that moment, different.
Right? In that moment, right? I'm not comparing red and blue with this conversation. I'm just saying that's why that dude got away with murder. That's why.
Let me ask you something. If I say this man committed murder, this man committed murder, does that seems fine? But if I say this black man committed murder and this man committed murder, all of a sudden I'm pointing out, oh, black men commit murder. You can't say this blue state. You just say this state. That's it, because the red state pulls the same bullshit.
If OJ was tried in Texas, you're trying to tell me he would have got off?
No, because again, but I can tell you this:
I'm waiting.
If it was Joe Rogan, they wouldn't try Joe. They wouldn't. They let Joe Rogan
get
the
goalpost again.
No, because again,
if OJ was tried in Texas, would he have gotten off? Do you think? Obviously, it's a hypothetical at this point.
If OJ had been moved to Sacramento, he would not have gotten off. Why they didn't move it is beyond me. It's only because it was in LA that he got off the way he did. Had it been in Northern California, the same blue state, he would not have gotten off.
That wasn't the question. The question was if he was.
No, the question is because you know in LA and with all that went on and with the riots that went on because of the notoriety of the LAPD beating black people forever and ever and ever and getting away with that shit and having that notoriety of being such a corrupt police department that they weren't going to stand by and watch them get away with more of this. So you don't conflate the argument because you're trying to twist it and you can't twist that narrative.
How did I twist? I asked a question.
Because I'm telling you, had he been tried in Sacramento, he would have been found guilty. Has nothing to do with the blue state.
I don't think it would have.
Yeah, I do.
I personally think that has everything to do with the blue state. Like California is a huge state for the Democrats, a huge state. If you convict at the time one of the most successful black athletes / movie stars, you convict one of them, that's going to hurt them at the polls. Going back to everything is about votes and power.
Northern California is overwhelmingly conservative. They would have found him guilty without a doubt.
Sacramento's more central. I've been to Sacramento.
No.
I've been to Sacramento. It's right smack in the middle of the state.
No, it's not. It's northern middle, but
you're gonna make me pull up the freaking map.
It's more north. But from Sacramento north, they're overwhelmingly conservative. and they would have
Hmm.
found him guilty.
Let me see. All right,
This is
fine. It's
Cecilia.
just over the. It's just over the middle. Just over the
But the
middle. All
thing
right,
is,
all right.
I'm saying,
I concede.
I'm
I
saying that
concede.
okay, that region is overwhelmingly conservative, and they would have found him guilty. So it doesn't have anything to do with the blue state. It has to do with the fact that they're not inside of each of these states. You're going to have you're going to have red and blue sections in that state, just like Florida. Florida is overwhelmingly conservative in the north and in the very south. In the middle of the state, it's overwhelmingly liberal. So go figure. So if OJ had been tried in Orlando, he might have got off, but maybe even down in Miami. But if he'd been tried in Tallahassee, they would have fried his ass.
Fright is it? All right. So this was good. We got like another 25 minutes out of it. So, like I said, I'll concede that was Sacramento. Like I said, when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It's like I was there with Benjamin for the Nationals in 2019, but looking at it on the map, it is just above the middle point. So I guess
Right.
that would be considered northern. So I stand corrected. So good,
That's
good, good.
okay. Is Monique still here?
I don't think so.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say we
yeah, I
should
don't
let
think
her
so.
have the last word.
Yeah. So like when I was talking, like when we were talking about Obama, this was her
Oh,
last comment. She said, "I didn't say he did nothing wrong. I just said don't be talking about him."
oh,
So, so hopefully we actually get her on with us next week. That would be nice. And
that would be. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
yeah, and so just take some time and just like I'm gonna do some extra homework because obviously when we have another person on, we don't want to get slam dunked by our guest. So we gotta make sure we polish up on the facts a little and
I have
get
a
ready for
feeling.
that discussion.
I have a feeling Monique's going to be an ally of mine.
Well, probably because you guys are both left leaning, so, but it's all good. But I'm gonna come armed and ready, so let's get it.
Right. All right. Sounds
All
good, my
right,
friend.
sir. Have a good night.
All right. You too. Take care.
All right, see you later.